Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us on the first day of our FuturePrint virtual conference. And as we have said before, we've got a really packed first half a day or so, focused very much on packaging. And I have a good friend of mine, Mr. Francois Martin from BOBST with me. Good morning.
Good morning, Fraser. Good to be here with you.
Thank you very much, and good to have you with us again. You've done sessions with us for the last couple of times we've run these, and what's really interesting about the story with BOBST is the evolution of the story and the point we're at now, which is quite exciting for us, which is that sort of digitalization of the BOBST thinking, if that makes sense. And that's what you're going to talk about today, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So we are going to talk about the digitalization of packaging production, what we have learned over the last 20 years, and from these learnings, how we see the future.
And that's really interesting because that's a bit of a shift for all of us in terms of the way that we've kind of looked at BOBST and the way we thought about them as an organization that delivered packaging solutions. Now, this is really talking much broader about that complete digitalization of the offering that BOBST deliver to the market, but also actually this integration of the whole print and packaging kind of ecosystems, which is really exciting.
No, correct. I mean, in fact, at BOBST, we want to shape the future of the packaging world. And by doing that, we won't do it solo. We want really to include all the ecosystem from the brand owners with the converters in the middle, and then at the very end, the retailers and the consumers. So we believe that this is a complete ecosystem that is going to be revisited with the digitalization of our lives, but also the digitalization of packaging production.
And actually, Francois, your background is particularly relevant here because, of course, you were with HP for many years, obviously, graphic solutions, digital, and you've been in the industry for quite a long time. And now with BOBST, a couple of years on their marketing and communications, and it really fits your story as much as the sort of BOBST story, doesn't it?
No, you can say it because we worked together for many years, and it is true that having spent almost 15 years with HP and now 3 years with BOBST, when you combine everything, you see patterns, you see how things are going because you have more experience. That's the advantage of having some white hair.
Now, listen, I want to let you take the control of this and do your presentation because you've got quite an interesting presentation for us to give us a little bit of overview. So I'll let you take control of the deck. So over to you. And then we'll pick up at the end and ask some questions. I'd like to get a little bit more nitty gritty into the thinking behind this and hear more from you. So over to you, Francois.
Okay, so thank you, Fraser, for the opportunity you are giving us to present at FuturePrint. So digital packaging production, I think it's a very important topic because we are all going to experience what it means. Whether you are in the packaging value chain, there will be something for you. And why is it going to change? And why now? That's the topic. So over the last 50 years, almost 100 years, packaging production has been very effective. Today, when you go shopping, you can get all kinds of goods properly packed. However, the current process is very slow, very linear, and changes are fairly complicated to implement. It is not that it is broken, it is just that what is missing is agility. And what smithers are showing us, this is data from analysts, they believe that for the future, the packaging production is going to be much more collaborative and more agile. To make it simple, if you want to change a specific substrate, you have to be in contact with the printers and the converters, but it has also impact in the packers. It has impact in the retail chain. It has eventually impact for the consumers and for the recycling. So the entire chain has to become more agile, more collaborative, because that chain has to be more sustainable and more agile. So if we look now at all the trends, that slide, you're not going to learn much, but at least it is everything on one page. This is what the brand owners are driving because the consumers are also expecting it. So short lead times, everyone has to produce much faster. We all know that. specifically the brand owners, they want to be able to have a new idea and to implement that idea very quickly. And it should not take 12 to 18 months as it is taking today. Zero fault packaging, this is very, very important, specifically when you look at sustainability. So consumers want the packages to be fine, to be good, to protect the goods. Everyone is looking at packaging to look good, color consistency, quality. So zero fault, it has to be embedded in the packaging manufacturing line. Agility, we discussed it already. It could be short runs, customization, so things need to move fast because we are living in a world where everything is unexpected and everything is changing fast. We like it or not, this is the current framework. So now, the other things that is shaping is new business models. We have all seen the impact on e-commerce, and that will continue to grow. So we should not hide in the sand. We should really look at how is e-commerce going to impact the goods, and we are going to discuss that. And then sustainability, I need to mention it because this is going to be fundamental. Not only reducing plastic as much as we can, but also to make sure that what we produce is packed the right way, not shipping air, protecting the goods effectively in a sustainable way. And packaging, well produced, is sustainable. So if we want to do that, what does it require? So we need to have, I mentioned it before, all the stakeholders connected, from the brand owners, designers, printers, converters, packers. They need to work together, and all of them in the chain needs to understand what's going on from the beginning to the end. Even if you are just in charge of a small part in the middle, you need to have the full view. And this is the foundation of the vision we have for the industry. So now we are going to go through the lessons we learned, and we are going to cover 5 topics. We are going to talk about technologies briefly, then we are going to talk about end-to-end solutions and workflow. This is fundamental. The core is going to be production floor optimization. This is mandatory if you want to be successful. We are going to refer about new business models that we have seen, and then sustainability. And these things are important to continue to do the proper packaging. So now if we look at printing first. So printing, back in 1993, Benny Landa said, whatever can become digital will be digital, and print is not an exception. And he was totally right. But this is already 27 years ago. So now if we look at the evolution of printing technology, we see that technologies are evolving and nothing is granted forever. So technologies are now combined. So gravure and offset continues to exist and eventually to be significant. Flexography came a little bit after and is still part of the landscape. Then we had liquid electrophotography, where I worked for many years with HP Indigo. And now we have inkjet nanotechnologies being more dominant. And why? Because technologies, what makes them to be always ahead, it is when you have fewer moving parts, easy to operate, if it delivers better quality or lower cost. So you have a technology drivers. And then today, we see that inkjet overall is the driving force. It doesn't mean that the others are obsolete, not at all. But now converters and printers will have more choices in technology. If we look at converting, this is the same. So a few years ago, laser cutting was introduced. It is still in the very, very early stage of converting. And we see the digitalization of conventional cutting. At BOBST, we have introduced tooling, which is a technology that is really enhancing the capabilities of conventional tooth cutting. And it gives you automatic job recall without human interventions. You can save a lot of time to make your machines ready. And then in parallel, we are also at BOBST investing in digital laser cutting because it's coming, it's important. And what will happen is that the technologies will coexist. The majority will remain conventional, obviously, for all the obvious reasons that we know. However, digital will bring more agility for short runs, and it will open new business opportunities. And this is also important, and new business models. And that's important to know. This is simply coming. But what is fundamental, it is that for packaging production, it takes more than a press to be successful. It's not because you will buy a digital press or a digital laser cutter that suddenly you are going to be 2 times better. No, it's not enough. You need to look at the entire production chain, from data processing, printing, embellishment, cutting, folding, gluing. If you are in folding carton, it could be pouch making if you are in pouches. So what is important is to look at different elements beyond the technology, which is digitalizing the entire production process. Digitalization, it is integrating the so-called extended color gamut, very important to move away from spot colors, but to do automatic ink mixing to obtain the Pantone. We are going to see that later. Quality control is very, very important with closed loop. Your workflow has to be completely digitalized, standardized, looking at the end-to-end performance, meaning that if you are very fast in printing and data processing, are you fast enough in embellishment and in cutting? Because you are going to be as fast as the weakest element of your chain. And then very important is to connect all your devices, because once they are connected, you start to get more data. And when you get more data, you make fact-based decision. And then you can start to see where are the weak points in your entire workflow. So that's the lessons we have learned in the past. And this is now going to be extremely relevant in packaging. Another thing that everyone needs to have in mind is production floor optimization. This is the key for success. Because the old debate that you see on the left, analog versus digital, how bad digital is, looking at machine specs only, looking at the investment cost, looking at the exact cost per job. These debates can be entertained, but they are, in my view, old and obsolete. The new debate, the new themes, it is, okay, time to market, application, end-to-end solutions. What kind of solutions do I deploy for a specific application? What kind of workflow? How sustainable is my production? You need to look at the yearly total cost of ownership and not just on one product. And then you need to integrate services and training into the full equations. So that's really what is driving the future, and why it's written in that sentence at the bottom. The digital revolution is forcing every company to move from business models focused on machine productivity to additional models integrating the entire production floor performance. And this is really important. And to make it simple, because you all like analogies, including me, if you look at trucks, when you want to move goods from one country to another, cost per tons, it's going to be extremely effective with the very large trucks. However, when you want to ship the goods up to the last meter or the last mile, you need to use different type of trucks. And this is why you have light trucks versus the heavy trucks. And this is going to be the same in packaging production. You will need to optimize your production floor with different type of equipment. And why? Because you need to use each technology for what it is designed for. So offset is clearly designed for massive volumes, while digital is much more agile. And you need to combine both because you don't have to make only long runs. So that's what we learned. Now, when we look at other things in the learning phase, it's sustainability. Everyone is talking about sustainability, assuming it is plastic, plastic, plastic. Of course, plastic is an issue. We need to find ways to transform the way we pack the goods, making plastic production more sustainable. But in addition to that, we need to look at water-based inks. And at BOBST, we have fantastic solutions with water-based inks in gravure, in flexo, where you can reduce the environmental impact. Extended color gamut, I mentioned it before. This is a great way to reduce your sustainability, to improve your sustainability, reducing waste, no ink mixing. You can do that in labels, flexible packaging, folding carton, corrugated. You can do it in digital, this is native. You can do it in flexo printing. You can do it in gravure printing. So look at the extended color gamut as a major way to improve sustainability. For plastic monomaterial substrates, it's fundamental. You need to move to new substrates, thinner substrates, monomaterial substrates. This is possible, it does exist. You need to embark on that journey as well. And then last, I mentioned it at the beginning, zero fault packaging. That has to be your motto in your company, because when you deliver zero fault packaging throughout your production line, you reduce waste. And a good example is like if you are only shipping good boxes or the right pouches to the retailers, everything, or to the packers, everything will be fine. They will pack the goods, no issue. And then the retailers will get properly packed goods in good quality packages, and there will not be customer complaining and boxes being damaged and things like that. So quality control, at BOBST, we have a solution with one inspection. It's a set of systems, closed loop, making sure that what you ship is correct. So all these elements are going to improve your sustainability. What did we learn as well over the last 20 years? We learned that new business models are emerging. Web to print in commercial printing, we have all seen it. I pushed it many years ago. Today, when you want 50 brochures or 5,000 brochures, you order everything online. Next day, it's coming home or it's coming in your factory and you like it. It is going to be the same for labels. Today, it's only 5%, but it's going to be much more in the future. Because for small companies specifically, I'm not talking about the 1 million labels for Nestlé, but for a lot of small SMB type of companies, ordering labels online, it is extremely convenient, cost effective, and it is also reducing waste. So why not doing it? And it works. If you look at pouches, recently ePack made major inroads with a new business model, making pouches almost on demand in a very short amount of time. And so new business models are going to come thanks to technology evolutions. And for boxes, folding carton or corrugated boxes, I can bet with you that in less than 5 years, you will be able to order a box on demand like that. And it will be convenient and cost effective. And then e-commerce, it's a buzzword. Yes, but at the same time, e-commerce has changed so much around us. For packaging, you need to ask yourself and to discuss with your clients, how are goods going to be packed in the future? If you are selling in shops, a beautiful box becoming a silent sales rep, protecting the goods as well, it's very important in shops. But if you are selling online, once your product has been ordered online, do you need a fancy packaging? Not sure. I know that brands, big brands, are looking at having differentiated packaging production chains, depending on if it is sold in shops or online. So that may have impact in your production. And then in addition to the new business models, you need to keep in mind that at the end of the day, you have to deal with human resources. Who is operating your machine? Who is dealing with the workflow? And the human resources are going to be significantly impacted by the packaging evolution. So you need to look at all of that, specifically if you are dreaming about smart factories for the future. So now looking ahead. So if we are looking ahead, I really want to share with you a model. Maybe you know it. This is called Crossing the Chasm, is where are we today in digitalizing packaging production. So if you look at folding carton and flexible packaging, we are still at the very beginning. Of course, Landa has installed machines for folding carton and it's going to work, but it's still not mainstream because offset is dominating and it will continue for many years to go. But we see changes happening. In corrugated boards, we have a little bit more advanced. We have already reached probably 100 machines making boxes every day. I'm not talking about point of sales, point of display. I'm really looking at box production. And that market is going to grow as well pretty fast. And it will follow what has been done in labels. So today in labels, it's very mature. As we speak, 30% of the labels are produced digitally today. It will be 50% by 2025. So digitalization for labels was easier. It has been done more effectively. Costs are right, quality is right, productivity is right. For the other industries, it's not yet there. Very small, you will say. Yes, you're right, my friends. But it's going to grow. So just don't miss the train. Look at things, because to digitalize your entire packaging production is quite complicated. And what we are looking at BOBST, but I think that you are all looking at it within your own facilities, it is that for all the industries you serve, labels, flexible packaging, folding carton or corrugated, you need to connect all the stakeholders and you need to drive for better quality, more efficiency. You need to be more in control with fact-based decisions. You need to be more sustainable and you need to have the proximity with all your clients, but also with your providers like BOBST. And to do that, we believe that you have 4 pillars to look at: connectivity, digitalization, automation, and sustainability. These are the 4 ingredients to be successful. So I'm not going to go into the details, but connectivity, you need to have in mind that you will only be more effective if you can get data out of your machines, and your entire packaging production will have to be connected, but also your suppliers. So that's going to be very important, and services is part of it as well. When you have your machines connected, you can be maintaining, do the maintenance remote. That's a big, big advantage. Digitalization, we talked about it. You need to digitalize conventional processes. You need to digitalize printing and converting, and you need to do that within a well-defined workflow. Automation, this is not new, but it will continue to grow. Why? Because once you automate, when you have smart systems, it could be robots that are performing key operations, you have less errors, less mistake, and automatically better margins. And finally, sustainability. We are going to make sure that sustainability is inherent to every single process. And we can make environmentally friendly packaging if we want. It is just a question of willingness. Some of it could be moving plastic away and replacing it by folding carton. That will be maybe 10%. But some of it is really to process innovative substrates in a more effective way, in a more empowered way, where you really are accountable for the environment, and it can be done. So now, if we are almost at the end of my presentation, but there is something that we have all discussed. Industry 4.0, packaging 4.0, a lot, smart factories, these topics are always on the table. But what does it mean? And we need to be very honest. Now we are talking in the 4.0, it's all about data. But what makes data unique? When we had the first industry revolution and the second one and the third one, it was things that you could buy. You could buy a steam machine, you could buy an electrical device, you could buy computers, you could automate. But now it's data. But data, you cannot buy them. You can acquire the data in your process, but then you need to digest the data. And there will be a lot of challenges to deploy the so-called 4.0 revolution, because you have economical challenges, organizational challenges, technical capabilities issues, and of course, the impact on your workforce. What kind of know-how, what kind of skill set? This is why the fourth revolution is more complex, more sensitive than the previous one. And now I want to show you how it could be, because it's not in the near future. It is already available today if you want. So looking at label production, you start with a PDF, then you are going to print, to embellish, to cut, and throughout the production process, there will be cameras, captors, sensors. They will extract the data from the manufacturing process, and then it will create a fake image that we call the digital twin. You compare that one with your native PDF, and if the two are exactly the same, it means that the labels you produced are the perfect quality. And that is not a dream. It's something that you can do today with one BOBST machine. The Master DM5, it's an all-in-one, all-in-line printing device, delivering the vision of tomorrow. Priming, printing, embellishing, cutting, all digital, all digitalized, all automated. So the future is really shaping, and we have the confidence that it will simply accelerate. So now to wrap up my presentation, I would like to say that analog technologies will become connected and digitalized, and technologies will coexist. Digital printing and converting will continue to grow, depending on the industry's different pace. Converters ultimately are going to benefit from all of that because they will have more choices to deliver relevant and sustainable packages. And this is really possible. So don't look at machinery anymore, look at applications. Think workflow, look at end-to-end solutions. And then don't forget to develop your staff capabilities and shape your organization to be able to cope with digitalized processes. So that's pretty much what we have now on the agenda for all of us. And my conclusion is a famous sentence, maybe not so famous for all of you, but Albert Einstein once said, "The world, as we have created it, is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without our thinking." So thank you very much for
thank you.
listening.
Yeah, fantastic.
And if you want to reach me, you see my email on the slide. Thank you, Fraser.
No, fantastic. Really, really good. And lots of information in there. And what I always sense with BOBST is that the more and more I get to know the organization, that you are absolutely, leading, aren't you? You're really one of those companies that we can look to in terms of leading the direction for the print and packaging industry. And that's good. That's a real positive at the moment, isn't it? When we're kind of looking for that sense of direction and leadership. So thank you for that. A couple of things I just want to touch on. I guess I'm interested in what you talked about, that kind of integration of the ecosystems. And actually this theme has come through both from the research that we did with FuturePrint, with a whole bunch of people. That theme kept coming up, that theme of flexibility, adaptability, of automation, sustainability, but also that theme of integration, how important that's going to be, about all these different elements integrating to your business. So you've said that. That's really good. I just want to ask one other thing. If I'm in the audience now and I'm looking at what you said, and my worry, I guess, would be that my business is not big enough to come and talk to BOBST, because it sounds like you guys are only going to be really thinking about the big players out there. So tell me, why should I come and talk to you, regardless of the size of my business?
No, so it's true that BOBST is today servicing all the big players, but we are also now in label printing, as an example. We have entry-level machines at 250K for label production, fully digitalized, 100 meters a minute. So it is really affordable because within the very large clients we have, some of them, they will need the digitalization only in some areas of the factories. This is the so-called production flow optimization I was referring to. So we have solutions independent of the size of the companies. And then in laser cutting, this is the same. We are going to have very soon laser cutters that are designed for small operation, not necessarily for the huge volume, because the huge volume will remain analog anyway. So we want really to help all the converters, independent on their size, to engage with us and to rethink what packaging production means.
And
so
that's,
size
I guess,
does not matter.
Yeah, Francois, that's, I guess, what I was trying to say to you is that you're showing leadership, and this presentation clearly defines a vision for the industry, and that shouldn't be exclusive to those 10 big players out there. And that's what I'm saying is to you in a way that you kind of have a responsibility to share your knowledge and experience and that sense of direction with the industry, not just with the chosen few.
Absolutely. And we are doing that since 1890. So it's a fairly old company, but at the same time, it's a company with responsibilities. And we want to offer our innovations to all the ones we want to try.
Yeah,
not
and I think
to try, but to succeed.
And I think you said it as well, didn't you? Because obviously focus on things like sustainability and the reason you are doing things that are sustainable, not just because it's a catchphrase that we should all think about, but actually because it's got value.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Francois, I think we're just coming to the end of the session. I hope that actually you'll be available at lunchtime when we run our Q&A session, live Q&A, because I'm sure if you can join that session, it'd be great, because there'll be lots of people who are interested to have a chat with you and to ask you some questions. So hopefully you'll be with us. If people can't come to the Q&A, they can get hold of you via the francois.martin@bobst.com. And you're very open to anyone contacting you, aren't you?
Absolutely. Otherwise, I would not have put my email there. So feel free to contact me. And if there is anything I can do for you, I will do it with pleasure.
Brilliant. Francois, thank you very much for that. Very comprehensive, as I said, and look forward to catching up with you soon. Thank you, Francois.